The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
And welcome into the EP Podcast. My name is Chris. That is Hannah, belly on up to the 9-foot homemade oak bar. Today on the program, we have a village trustee who has never been on the show before, filling in for our good friend, Mark Marzullo, and he brought gifts, which Mark has never done before, so I'm very excited about Norm Anderson stopping by today. Dr. David Beckmann is going to jump on and talk about some of the coronavirus variants and also vaccines. I know that's something that people are concerned about. We heard the mayor talking about a possible vaccine initiative that he's working on the last show. We're going to talk with the doctor about how he thinks that should be rolled out and also get a little bit of advice from him. And I know you went and saw him recently.
Yes, I did.
And he told me about all of your problems, and now I'm going to be keeping track of what you're eating over there. You got something good over there, right?
I got sausage.
Yeah,
I
no,
got
you can't have
cheese,
that. Don't touch
I got
that
pizza,
stuff.
I got beer.
Dr. Beckmann, I'm going to stop her right now. Don't worry about it, okay? It's all brought to you by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. It's never too early to start teaching your kids about money, and this year, help them take the first step towards a healthy financial future with a junior savings account from First National Bank of Evergreen Park. With a junior savers account, children can earn interest on every dollar they deposit so they can watch their money grow. Show your children how rewarding saving can be and set them up for success. To learn more, visit bankevergreenpark.com/JS. That is for junior savers. No minimum required to open, member FDIC.
You got activated.
I got activated.
I'm just laughing.
It was really weird how that went down.
Painful,
because,
isn't it?
First of all, somebody saying I'm going to activate you frightens me. I mean, it's just something that it worries me. Like, what does that mean?
That was a little bit like, I was feeling kind of dull and sluggish. I'm like, activate.
I'm going to be activated. So, everybody knows I'm trying to lose this weight. I'm down 9 pounds now.
Yay.
Okay, so we've added some more to the total. And hopefully by the time I weigh myself tomorrow, we're down to the even 10 and we just keep moving. And so the fitness routine is working very well. And I haven't done a lot of major impact exercising because my plan is to just eat better. And I'm trying to get myself back into shape.
Yeah.
And we talked with Core Fitness and Physical Therapy right here in Evergreen Park. And they said, look, if you go out and you just start doing high impact stuff right away, you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
You're old, Chris. Because I am. I'm old. I'm in my 40s.
There's nothing wrong with going low impact and taking it slow.
I can't just throw on some sweatpants and start running. I'm going to pull something. So that's not going to work. So they're going to fix what's going on with me first. And the whole idea behind the activation is to, I guess, get your internal muscles going. Have you ever done one of these before?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
so let me tell you about my experience.
They've done it to me a few
with this,
times.
because they made me into a superhero. I go in there with Peggy at Core. So first what she does is she tries to demonstrate where my strengths are. Now, I am going to brag a little bit. She does this thing where she has me put my arm up and she's going to move the arm.
Yep.
And she couldn't move my arm. She put all of her weight, she couldn't move my arm. She actually had to admit, like, you're pretty strong upper body. And I was like, thank you. I felt good about myself, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm strong.
Yeah, complimented.
She's thinking she's going to move my arm and then show me how she's going to fix it. She couldn't move my arm. So now she goes to the legs. Every single thing she did, I could not stop her from basically manhandling me like a puppet. I couldn't resist her pushing on it. She's using one arm. She's pushing my legs down. She's pushing them to the side. She's whipping them back and forth on the table. I can't stop her from doing it. I have no lower body strength. And I think I'm pretty smart, pretty fit down there.
Did she activate your psoas muscle?
Yes, I got that. I did all that. But here, let me tell you what happens.
Okay.
She goes through, she activates every muscle. She gets the interior. She goes along the rib cage.
Hurts.
The psoas is something where they like press in underneath the stomach.
Oh.
They do this thing where they massage the back of your neck just to get your glutes to work.
Yep.
And I'm like, so you're rubbing the back of my neck to make my butt
like
muscles
right
work?
below your clavicle. They would do that to me, and I would like want to cry sometimes. You'll realize like how sore your muscles under your collarbone can get.
And the idea is we don't use these muscles.
You don't, and you should be.
Right. So this is what they're telling me is that we don't use these muscles. So when they're done, I'm like sitting there and I'm like a little sore and I'm like, all right. And I'm kind of giving her a hard time. Like, this didn't do anything. Right?
Until you start moving.
So she does the upper body thing. And I'm like, you still can't move me. She goes to do the lower body stuff. There was a point where I was laying on my back with my legs up in the air where she should have been able to just push my leg right down. She's on the table with her whole body weight and I'm holding her up.
Yeah, that psoas muscle
She was
activated.
using one arm before the exercise,
Mm-hmm.
and now I have this incredible amount of strength. Then they're trying to like move like my hips and everything else. Like they can't move me on the table. I'm like rock solid. I'm like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get up and she's like, take a walk. And I get to the end of the hallway and she goes, how do you feel? I said, I feel an inch taller and I feel like I'm 25 again. It was nuts. I told my dad about it. I'm like, you gotta go do this thing.
I think they do that for the Brother Rice football team.
That's what she was telling me.
Yeah.
All these athletes do these activations. Mm-hmm. And it's basically a really deep tissue massage is the best way for me to describe
But
this.
it prevents injuries.
But yeah, it makes, and what happens is you walk straighter. And then if you go out and you exercise and you're doing something physical, you're less likely to injure yourself.
Yeah.
So I thought this thing was super cool. I'm going to tell you, this is the second time that I've gone into core and thought, these people, this is some sort of witchcraft that doesn't work, this Pilates thing.
Yeah.
And I walk out of it, I'm like 10 times stronger. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see what I look like on the scale this week. I can't wait to figure out like what they're going to do to me next. I'm going back for more Pilates coming up next week. And there's like a whole team working on me. But I'm going to go back to this and say, it never feels like I'm working really hard on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come out of it and I feel stronger.
Yeah.
Like you go for a run, you're exhausted.
You are.
You lift weights, you're exhausted. I do this.
This is very slow, very methodical.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it hurts while I'm doing it. And then I walk out of there and I'm, again,
they're teaching you proper
lifting
form
people.
and you're doing it correctly.
I'm lifting people.
Yeah.
I'm Superman. Pretty strong.
I don't think you're Superman.
Meanwhile, Norm Anderson brought me a pizza, so, I'll be a little less strong tomorrow. A little less strong tomorrow. It is now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, brought to you by Mike Thauer of Country Insurance. Listen, I use Mike for everything around here. The cars, the house, everything. I've been with him for a year. I never see any rate increases. I don't know if it's because I'm special or he's just good at what he does. Check him out, 708-425-1559. The Evergreen Park Youth Center is open again. We've talked about this at 3450 West 97th Street, and Room 105 is available to kids Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m., and also Saturday mornings from 9 a.m. until noon. There's a game room there, arcade games, Wii, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox, air hockey, foosball, ping pong, pool tables, karaoke stereo system, 4 big screen televisions, and refreshments for the kids to purchase. Basically, it's better than anything that was ever offered to me as a child. Every year we have the folks on from Most Holy Redeemer for their trivia night, which happens right around this time. This year, it's a virtual trivia night, Saturday, February 27th, that starts at 7:30 p.m. You do it from your home. If you're into trivia, get tickets right now. Sign up, mhrschool.com. That's your word on the street, and this is the EP Podcast, found everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com. Are you a CFO, HR professional, or owner of a company, big or small, and you're tired of the typical health insurance premium increases each and every year? Out of control premiums with no end in sight. Well, now there is the Elite Benefits Formula. This process has saved employers and their employees thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars each year. These strategies are avoided by most insurance professionals, and the insurance companies definitely do not want you to know about them. But Elite Benefits of America is ready to help you. Just about all employers in the Chicagoland area can now take advantage of some or all of these strategies and start saving money. Butch Zemar from Elite Benefits of America wants you to reach out to him today. Visit elitebenefits.net or call 708-535-3006. Joining us down here at the 9-Foot Homemade Oak Bar, and I'm going to tell you something. I love when a guest brings food, but I always expect it from a restaurant, right? Right, Ann? I always think a restaurant's going to bring food, and instead it's not a restaurant. And we've had one of his fellow village trustees down here, I think about 5 or 6 times. And Mark Marzullo has never brought me a pizza.
He is not.
And I've got a Rosangelos sitting here
Oh,
on the
it's so
bar
good.
and
It
a
was
case
hot.
of beer that
Piping
Norm
hot.
Anderson brought me over. So Norm's another village trustee. He's filling in for Mark this month. We generally have the trustees in to talk about stuff going on around Evergreen Park, and this is his first trip to the bar. How are you, Norm?
Good, Chris. How are you? Hi, Hannah. How are you?
Very good.
Good.
Love the
eating
pizza.
Nice meeting you today. Yeah, she's eating some pizza. Yeah,
Pizza.
is it good? It's still warm, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hannah's
cold
quite the
out.
professional. You can hear her chew on the podcast.
At first
It's
she
great.
said Chris. At first she said no, and then she said yes. So
All right, so first of all, thanks for the food. It's great.
Absolutely, my
sit down
pleasure.
here, enjoy
My pleasure.
yourself. It should be an awful lot of fun having you hang out with us. Just a little bit of background on Norm. First off, Norm has been saying he was going to come on this show and then not coming on this show for at least a year and a half. I think the first time we almost had Norm on the show was
Did we keep missing out on?
4th of July parade 2019. Because remember, there wasn't one in 2020. And he and Marzullo are walking along, and Norm's the Norm. These guys are like a team, right? You've heard Marzullo on the show. Go back and listen to it.
And Phelan.
Okay. Oh, and Phelan too. Okay. But the flashy guy, the brash guy, the guy wearing the American flag shirt, the button-down American flag shirt and the hat and the sunglasses, that's Marzullo. He jumps on, he can't stop talking.
absolutely.
Norm got like 3 words in on that one. And I was like, come down to the bar sometime. But he hasn't shown up. And now, not only am I in a bowling league with Norm, okay, but I was on his softball team this summer. And I spent all summer long telling him you got to come down here. So I finally was able to twist his arm enough to get him down here. And first, before we even get into what I want to ask you about the village, before we even turn on the microphones, he made sure to point out to Hannah how amazingly lightning fast I am when I play softball.
And then what did he say?
And I didn't tell him what I say.
You run pretty fast for a fat guy.
How are you going to
That's
be when
true.
you're skinny?
And since I'm losing all this weight and I'm doing this
You're going to
diet
number
thing,
2, Chris.
he's
You're
like,
going to number 2 in
I'll
the
be
batting
second in
order.
the batting order all of a sudden.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about it.
And
Okay.
it's true. You've been trying to get me for about a year and a half, and I keep pawning you off. But I finally wore it down, Chris. I finally wore it down, and
Well, I
here
appreciate
am.
you.
Here I
I
am.
appreciate you
No, I
coming by.
appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about what's going on in the village. Just
Sure.
curious, and I always throw these things at Mark, and I'm always amazed that he knows all the things that are going on. You guys are pretty locked in the, with the trustees. You guys really know what's going on. Take us inside what's going on with the village trustees and things that you guys might be discussing. Maybe it's new businesses coming in. Maybe it's something that's that some kind of issue that needs to be addressed. What have you guys been working on
What
lately?
we've been working on, Chris and Hannah, is we've been trying to keep the businesses here that are established. We've been trying to help them out. So with this COVID, it's been a very, very hard, difficult time for us. The public can't come into the meetings. We don't want anyone getting sick. So we've been working real hard we're still getting businesses into Evergreen, small businesses, like an accounting firm.
There are a couple places that have closed. I mean, it's a shame, but it's happened. I mean,
Yeah.
while there are places that have survived, people can't forget that there are places that this was their livelihood and it's already gone. And you
Yeah.
guys are trying to figure out, we're at the tail end of this, but they may be on fumes at this point.
That's
so what
true.
are you guys working on to try to help
That's true.
them out?
Well, what we did was we kind of gave them a little help on, eliminating some of the business fees for them, which we got a lot of letters from.
Wait, there's
That was-
business fees?
Yeah.
Do I owe you guys fees for this?
Oh, you're going to pay big time, brother. They go up there and talk to the
You're in
mayor. You're
arrears.
going to pay.
Man,
you're gonna pay-
man, why'd you take your pizza back? What the heck is this? Shows up with pizzas and fees. Anyway, but you're eliminating business fees and what
Not
else?
eliminating them.
You're
we're
helping
just,
them with them.
Just helping them.
Okay.
Throughout, the village, we got some letters on that, and we just trying to get new business. Like there's a small business over there by across from the new 7-Eleven went in.
Yeah, I saw that. You got a new
looks
7-Eleven
nice.
that went in. It's right over by a little company, right?
95th in California.
95th of California. It's right there.
Little business there right across the street is a little salon joint called Allure. It's very nice, so they came in, and there's other businesses coming in.
That's good.
But, it's steady. It's not as busy as it was, so we'll see what happens. I mean, the mayor's got a plan, and whoever's elected next mayor, hopefully they have a plan too.
What's the word on the gaming machines? I think Marzullo's brought that up a couple times when he's down
we
here.
voted for gaming.
Okay.
So
now the way I heard it was you had more people that applied for it than actual spots. And I just got that from a couple of the businesses that I bounce around and talk to all the time. So
I'm sure that's
are you
true.
leaning towards certain types of businesses? Is it like going to be a random thing? Have you guys figured it out yet?
Yeah,
or
well, what we're looking at is food, wine, and beer.
Okay.
Right? And
places that do that. That
Correct.
makes more sense. for
Right.
you.
We
Yeah.
don't want someone to open a hot dog stand or a hot dog cart. You know,
Red Hots and Gambling.
You know, you don't
oh
want.
my God, that's what I want to open. If I open up Red Hots and Gambling,
you got the rotisserie in the bar, and then they get to have a gambling machine. Or no, we're not going that route. So the mayor's been very clear on that, Chris. Very clear. So no, we're not going to have you can't have a hot dog cart here and get a gambling machine.
I was going to open up a place called Podcasts and Slots.
Right down here. You
Podcasts and
can't.
Slots.
Yeah, and I can't bring pizza in, and you can't have a gambling machine down here, Chris. I'm sorry. All right, this doesn't sound.
I just want to put some video gaming right down here in the basement.
Dude, I mean, that corner is perfect.
I'm a business. I applied. You tell me I'm not getting any games down here?
Well, we wouldn't be able to hear each other without a ding going on.
I was going to put some gaming right down here in the basement next to the kids' PlayStation. That's what I was going to do.
That's perfect.
They play.
Or some random stranger that comes to my back door.
Stranger just walking down the stairs.
Daddy's got to make money.
Doing?
Yeah, Daddy's got to make money. That's how that works.
There you go.
Does your financial advisor actually take time to listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized for you and your family? Will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situation changes? Why worry about those things when Tom Walsh is nearby? He's your local Edward Jones financial advisor. He works with you, focusing on what's important to you. He uses an established process to create personalized financial strategy, and he partners with you to help your strategy stay on track. Listen, families in South Chicagoland have been benefiting from Tom's get-to-know-you approach and do the right thing values for over 18 years. Contact my close personal friend and also a fellow Brother Rice alumni, Tom Walsh. He's your local Edward Jones advisor, located in Mount Greenwood, right outside of the EP at 111th and Kedzie. Member SIPC. How soon do you think that's going to pop up where the games are going to start walking into places? Are you guys, I would imagine there's things like, hey, where are you going to put them? And are they going to ruin your restaurant or your bar because all of a sudden it's going to look like Reno, Nevada? Because I lived in Reno. And that's the one thing. Like, some people do it real clean, and some people just put the game like right in the middle of the place, and you're like, wow, that kind of ruined the entire restaurant. So I would imagine these are things that you guys are discussing.
Absolutely, Chris and Hannah. And the one thing we're really pushing is, you know, if, let's say you have it at a place that serves food and alcohol. You know, we know what they are, and we don't. And the kids go in there. You know, so we're gonna try to wall it off so that kids don't see it. You know, they can have it and the kids won't see it. It'll be nice. It'll be a, room. So there's going to be provisions that the building department will initiate or inspect and keep the kids from, you can put a rope across. Well, we are not going to do that. You know what I mean? We're going to make it very nice and clean, and we'll keep the kids away from that end of it.
It's the smartest thing for a restaurant, because I'll tell you right now,
It is.
if there's a place that I like the ambiance for, and all of a sudden there were things clinking and spurring, and I just go to a different place. I'm going to float the idea that I floated to the mayor, and I floated to Mark Marzullo, and I'm going to continue to float it until I get it, because I live on 99th Street. I want
not a stop sign.
Don't tell me
no,
forget the stop signs.
I want to talk about that a little bit.
I want 99th Street to have basically like a concrete barrier in between the right and left lane that has like potted, just like greenery in it.
Okay.
Like a parkway. So that is so annoying for people that don't live in Evergreen to drive down. They don't drive down it. That's what I want.
Okay.
I want, like, when you get to Evergreen, you're like, nah, I'm turning right here at Western Avenue, or yeah, I'm turning right here at Pulaski, because I don't want to drive through Evergreen on 99th anymore. I want you to make it the most annoying road possible. Okay,
they're all
people, they fly
they're
through
skating.
there.
They're skating around 95th.
Man, I'm gonna tell you something. I want you guys to give me. I want you guys to give me a radar gun and a ticket ticket book, because I don't blame the cops. They got to
get a badge, Chris. They got to
cover all that. But you
Chris
put me.
needs a badge.
Oh yeah, you put me out.
I give you a badge. Oh my God, how many tickets?
Summertime, I'll just sit out here at 3 a.m. having a beer on the porch, catching the guy that's going 95 miles an hour down the thing and forgets the stop sign near my house, and you hear him go. He slides through the thing. I mean, like, that's like. Get me out here. I'm ready. I'm ready to patrol 99th, and I would also like to have like a nice parkway put in. I know you're laughing at me. Marzullo laughed at me. The mayor laughed at me. Glenn Panuski laughed at me.
Because you're making me laugh, Chris. That's what you're doing. Let me pass that through the mayor.
Yeah, just give me honorary. Shaquille O'Neal's an honorary sheriff. Why can't your local podcast guy be an honorary cop?
Steven Seagal is a sheriff back home.
Exactly. Why can't Chris Lanuti be a sheriff, Hannah? Why can't I? You're a big police advocate, right? Did you work for the police, or you're a commissioner or something like that? Somebody told me.
Yes, I was. I was the chairman of the Police and Fire Commission Board, and I'm a huge supporter of the Police and Fire Commission. I think our chief of police and our chief of fire are doing an excellent job. Saunders and Kleinhaus, excellent job, and I hope they continue to do the same thing until they retire. I hope that they stay as long as they can. Hey, speaking of that, with the stop signs, we have them for a reason, and a lot of people like just not even stopping through the stop signs because nobody's there. So I look at it this way, especially in the summer. Don't get me wrong, stop signs you stop at 2 seconds, 3 seconds. What does it take you? 8 to 12 seconds to go half a mile, right? 16 to 24 to go a mile. So 20 seconds out of your day to go a mile. Really, stop the stop signs. Stop, look both ways, especially in the summer, because after this COVID's done, we're going to have these kids on their bikes.
They're going to be
running
out.
around. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
People walking. People are going to be out. And I'm a staunch advocate on stopping at stop signs.
Oh, I agree with you as a guy that walks his dog and every day at some point yells at somebody because they didn't even notice me starting to walk into the intersection and drives right through it. So trust me, I'm with you on that. And anytime you want me to sit down and consult on traffic issues in my area, I know exactly where everybody cuts through from Pulaski and cuts through from Kedzie because they're trying to avoid 95th Street or 103rd Street. You let me know. I'll set up a whole dragnet over here.
Hey, you draw me a map because
I'll draw you a map.
I need that.
You brought me a pizza. I'm going to draw you a map of where everybody cuts through. All right, Norm, before we get out of here, you wanted to say something nice to your mother.
Oh,
right?
yeah. The other thing is I want to give praise to all the village workers, water department, Streets and Sands for the cleanup they did with the snow.
They did a great job.
I've heard so much.
We talked with the mayor about that last week. He did a great job. They did a great job.
The mayor's on it and the trustees. And with myself, Mark Phelan, Carol Kyle, Kelly Burke, and Kathy Aparo, we're doing the best we can for you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So. I appreciate that. Give your shout out.
And one last thing, I got to say hi to my mother.
He asked me before the show, can I talk about my mama? I was like, no. And then he just starts laughing. He looked at me like I was serious. I'm like, of course you can talk about your mother.
Hi, Ma.
What's mom's name?
Nancy Anderson.
Nancy
Of course it's Nancy Anderson. Nancy. So.
Nancy.
Yeah, hi,
Nancy, I want to say thank you very much for listening to the EP podcast. Your baby boy brought me a pizza, a case of beer, and did a good job on his first interview.
Yes, he did.
Okay, and he remembered to thank his mother, and I haven't heard anybody do that yet on this show.
No one has said hi
Norm,
to Mom.
I'm telling you right now, you brought me food, you brought me beer, and you're the only guest, and you're the only guest that ever came down here who remembered to thank his mother. So, I mean, right there, man. You nailed this entire thing. Good for you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate both of you. You guys take care of yourself, all right?
Imagine, one day, out of nowhere, you need your car towed. Who are you going to call? You have no idea. Right, because none of us think about that until it actually happens. So I'm going to give you a name, Dreamers Towing and Recovery. Located in Evergreen Park, Illinois, they will tow your vehicle, locally or at a long distance, at a very affordable price. What happens when your car needs a jump start? Dreamers Towing and Recovery. What happens when you're locked out of your car? Dreamers Towing and Recovery. You got a junk car, you don't know how to get rid of it, and you just want to move along and get some cash? They buy your junk cars. Covering the EP and the surrounding south side of Chicago, Dreamers is there when you need them with 24-hour service. Call them 773-410-4549. 773-410-4549. Turn a sudden nightmare into a dream with Dreamers Towing and Recovery. Joining me on the phone line right now, our resident physician that jumps in on the EP podcast all the time. He's from Family First Medical Group in Evergreen Park over on Western Avenue, yourffmg.com. Dr. David Beckmann, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing good, Doc. I'm going to tell you, the folks went out and got their vaccines, and it wasn't the way that you would expect them to get it. Dad's 70, mom's over 65. They should have been able to sign up. Instead, because of basically extra vaccines, there was a Walmart dealing them out to a Chicago police district. Guys in the district didn't want them. They got a phone call hey, call this Walmart and ask them if they've got the vaccine because they've got extras because they weren't able to hand them out to the district. He calls the number, talks to the pharmacist, and meets the guy in the garden center on the Lower East Side for him and my mother to get the vaccine so nobody in the store could see them getting the vaccines. And that's the kind of hoops he had to jump through, even though he should have just been able to sign up and do it. And I don't think that's uncommon, is it?
It is not uncommon. We've had some patients that have had difficulty getting the vaccine for their elderly parents, and there's this vaccine underground, it seems like, where you have people that go to the Max Vaccine sites and they'll wait till the end of the day to see if there's any leftover vaccines or there are any cancellations. And sometimes there will be extra doses and people will be able to get a vaccine that way. So it is a little bit disjointed. I'm glad your parents got it, though, because I think the last time we talked, your mom was on the fence.
Yeah, mom ended up getting it because dad was like, I'm going to go get it, and then I'm going to go out and live my life, so you're going to have to make a decision. So that's kind of how that went. I think that's how the decision was made in the house. So, but they got their vaccine, which is good. And what's funny is once you get the vaccine the first time, you get a card, and it was really easy to sign up for the second one. They're just going up to the CVS in Evergreen Park in 95th and Kedzie, because second vaccines are very easy to schedule way in advance, because there's not as many people that have the first one yet. So it's really easy to say, I need the second one. This is the one I have. And they've already got those kind of set aside. So once you get the first one, it gets a lot easier, it seems like. But the unfortunate thing is the people who need it the most are the elderly people. My father needs my children to help him with his remote control sometimes. And now he's not going to be able to figure out how to go on like you just described and be able to wait for extra doses and know when to hit the website. That's the thing that stinks about this. Like, I know young people who are posting on social media like, hey, I got some extra vaccines, and they're 25 and healthy. And I'm like, you don't need it. Why isn't the pharmacist calling the elderly patient that was in earlier in the day that they had to turn away? It's maddening to me.
It is. It's frustrating for us as a clinic where between our practices, we probably have around 8,000 to 9,000 patients, and we, so we would be a site where if we got vaccines, we could call all of our patients over 65 and be able to administer the vaccines. And unfortunately, it seems like the strategy has not been to give clinics these vaccines, which I think are way more adept at being able to give vaccines, because we give vaccines all the time, and we have patients that trust us and have known the people in the clinic, and so to be able to come into a clinic and get a vaccine really, to me, makes a lot of sense. But unfortunately, that's not the way that things are being rolled out right now.
So I want to ask you about the new scare thing, the thing that's kind of making everybody nervous if they look at the internet way too much, they turn on CNN or Fox News or surf along on Twitter, and that's the idea that there's variants, and watch out because these variants are going to kill more people, and who knows if your vaccine is even going to work.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that it's clear that these variants are deadlier. They certainly seem to be more contagious, so they spread more easily, which is actually something that you frequently see with viruses that last for a while and they mutate. They have to adapt and spread more easily, but they don't necessarily become more deadly. And so far, it seems like there really isn't any convincing evidence that they're worse than the original strain. In terms of the vaccine efficacy, the Moderna vaccine appears to be maybe not as effective against the South African variant or the Brazilian variant, but still effective enough where if you get the vaccine and you get infected with that variant, maybe you get a little bit sick. But the big picture here with those vaccines is, do they lower your risk of getting hospitalized, and do they lower your risk of dying? And it appears that all of the vaccines fit that bill, even if they're not as effective at preventing infection against some of the variants. The one kind of wild card right now is the AstraZeneca vaccine that's not been out yet in the U.S. was ordered by South Africa as their predominant vaccine. And unfortunately, it looks like that vaccine is only about 10% effective against that strain. So they're actually holding on to that vaccine for now in South Africa. But the Moderna vaccine and then the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that's going to come out hopefully in the next month, and the Pfizer vaccine, all of them appear to be effective enough that it's certainly worth getting. And plus, Pfizer and Moderna have already said that they're working on trying to adjust the vaccine if needed in case they need to do another booster to help with these other variants.
What was your take, because I was curious when I was watching it, what was your take when you watched the Super Bowl? Because when I watched the Super Bowl, I thought to myself, well, everybody can go back to school and everybody should be able to go to baseball games and everything else because this place is packed. I mean, it was packed. What was your take when you looked at it and what was your reaction to it?
I mean, my reaction is I'm glad that we're starting to see some signs of returning back to normal. I think that and I think we've talked about this before, Chris, when we first learned about the virus and we were really not sure about how deadly it was and who it affected, it made sense that we locked down and everyone just kind of waits it out to see. But it's been, I'd say, at least 6 months where we know pretty well the people that get really sick with this, and there is a lot of secondary harm that is done. I mean, the Super Bowl is obviously something that's fun and it's good for people to get back together, but I think that when you look at it on a more local level, when you look at kids, I mean, you think about a high schooler who is a star athlete who's getting primed for a scholarship at a college, and the last 2 years of their schooling, they got locked out of their sport. What are they supposed to do? There's no surprise that depression and anxiety and suicide, especially in younger people, has skyrocketed. I mean, you've essentially taken away their usual way of life, and for really, I think at this point, no reason at all. I mean, I think that when you're talking about the younger people that are certainly far less likely to get severely ill from this virus, you need to let them live their lives, and the people that need to take precautions, they take precautions.
I know that you met with Hannah just recently, and I'm not getting into what's going on with her medically, but she's an absolute mess. I'm going to get her off of all these bad things that she's eating. Okay, she's telling me she's got to lower her cholesterol, and then I see her sit down here munching at the bar, and now I'm like, whoa, I'm going to tell the doc on you. So I'm keeping an eye on her. I want you to know that.
All right, sounds good, Chris.
Thanks a lot, Doc.
Thanks, Chris.
Another show is wrapped up, another show's in the books, another show is wrapped up, and then by the looks it's gonna be a good one, and we'll see you next week. And the nude is basement, and the nude is basement. Another show is wrapped up, another show is wrapped up, another show is wrapped up, and it's in the books. Another show is wrapped up, another show is wrapped up, and by the looks, it's gonna be a good one. Nudist Basement, broadcast basement, the Nudist Basement, the broad basement, Slancha.
The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the eppodcast.com.